Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back finally in PowerWash Simulator again. Yeah, it's been quite a while since I've done like a gaming video. I think the last proper one was the last Minecraft one. I think it was episode 6, which is about a month ago at this point, since I recorded it at least. Yeah, because then I had the Walton Files one, and then I had loads of things like Alton Towers trips, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, stuff like that, and then obviously 100 subscribers and things, all things that I'll be going into in this video. But yeah, back into PowerWash Simulator finally. So we've got two options of what to do: either clean the golf cart or the detached house. Now, depending on how long the golf cart takes, I might do like part of the detached house after it, but I think possibly doing the golf cart first, just because then that means that gets out of the way. Unless there's like another vehicle after that, then I might do that as well. But yeah, anyway, let's go and clean the golf cart and talk about loads of stuff. I've actually also got like a list of things on my phone as well to actually go through, because yeah, like a lot's happened since. I also got I didn't put out like an NGL post or like a questions and comments post, but I think some people must have like gone back to the old link, or maybe seen one of the old posts on Twitter or something, because or maybe like on Threads, because yeah, I actually got a few like in between anyway. I got like a couple. I got like a question and a comment on it. So yeah, so if I have time, I'll read those out. If not, it'll probably just be in like the next Minecraft video or something. But yeah, I've certainly got enough to talk about with this one, because yeah, there's been a lot happening. So yeah, without further ado, let's go and clean the golf cart. It says it's only $100, so I'm assuming it won't be that much. Anyway, so from Mayor Jefferson the 8th, I believe that's 8th. Yeah. Oh wait, no, that would be V, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be VIII if it was 8. So that's the 18th. Yeah, because it'd be the X being the 10, yeah. No, wait. No, that would be the 13th. Yeah, X with the 3 I's would be the 13th. Yeah, because wouldn't it be like XV if it was the... I'm not sure. Anyway, I need you to clean my sorry golf cart. Again, I need to get back used to reading again. You might have heard about my poor cat Ulysses going missing. We're all frantic with worry with the ceremony just round the corner. I swear I saw him on the golf course, frolicking on the lily pads in the lake by the 13th. Par 3, but I always get a birdie. Probably the cat got a birdie as well. By the time I realised it was just a boisterous carp, it was too late. I slammed on the brakes and went tumbling down the slope, head over tail. Don't worry, Doc's giving me the all clear. Said they'd never seen anyone recover from such a minor incident in so little time, but the cart needs a hose down. You can tell I'm tired. I'm recording this in the morning, by the way, so yeah. Not a time for me to be reading and working out whether that's a 13 or an 8. I think it's 13, right? Because with the V, that's 5, and then you add the 3, which is 8. But with this, it would be the X being 10, then add the 3 is 13th. I'm just going to say it's 13th. Let's clean a golf cart and talk about utter nonsense. Yay. I'll have to check the audio levels as well. This is the thing, I can only check the audio levels once I'm in, like with the sprayer. So, let's have a look. Yeah, that is way too loud. There we go. That's better, I think. Yeah, I can talk to... Yeah, I kind of have to tell if I can, like, hear myself speak afterwards. It's not, like... Not just good enough just, like, to spray it. Anyway, so... yeah, let's get this thing done. Also, do I actually have any cleaning fluid? I'm not sure. Hold on. I have to put the... Probably you have to put the nozzle on to actually see if there's any cleaning fluid. Right, so there's stone, there's glass, or there's multi-purpose... I mean, there's glass on here, so I'll do the glass cleaner first. But, yeah. So it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, I'd say a lot of stuff's happened. But the first thing on my list is, not the best news, but, you know, might as well get it out of the way to start with, which is, that my CBT ended, which is unfortunate. Yeah, ended... probably just after I actually uploaded the last video, actually. Hold on, what's multi-purpose on here? If there's any, hold on. Right, back cushions. Cushions are multi-purpose, there we go. But, yeah, the CBT ended. I kind of knew it was going to end at some point. I mean, obviously I knew it was going to end at some point. But I thought it was going to end, like, sometime soon. I think just the problem was is that I didn't expect, like, on the final appointment, I didn't expect it to end when it did, which means that yeah, it kind of came as a bit of a shock by the end of the session. And by the way, this is no fault of my therapist, by the way. Like, she was great, you know, but, and I even sent her like a nice email afterwards, because I was originally thinking of like getting her a card or something just to like say thank you, but obviously because I didn't realize that was our last session till the end of it, then yeah, kind of didn't really have the chance to do that. So I sent her a nice email, and she sent a nice reply to Gnome, go away. I just realised, well, I'm wasting my multi-purpose cleaner on you. Hold on. Go to a different corner and think about what you've done. It's just so creepy, just like seeing the gnome like in the background. It's really creepy. Can I not drop him here? Can I drop him there? Then he'll just like fall behind, and there we go. Outer sides, outer. I like how he's just like hovering in the air. The physics of this is amazing. But yeah, it's just always creepy just like to see the gnome in the background. Anyway, back to the serious stuff. Yeah, but wait, where's my, there we go, there's a multi-purpose. Yeah, so I didn't realise that was going to be our last session. The thing is, I've learned everything I needed to learn in CBT, as in like all the different techniques and stuff like that, for like behavioural activation things. It's more putting it into practice, but it would have been nice to have maybe like another maybe couple of sessions, and especially since we were splitting the sessions at that point to 2 weeks at a time, because I remember us saying that essentially in the last few sessions they'd like split it to, instead of every week, it'd be every 2 weeks, which means it gets you used to not having therapy. The problem is we only did that once, so we only had like a 2 week gap once, and then it was my last session. So it would have been nice to at least maybe have another couple of sessions for like another month, just to, you know, keep monitoring and just check that everything was definitely okay. But yeah, it ended, which, yeah, it was quite upsetting. You know, I think just it would have been nice to have like been made aware maybe the week before, just so that means I knew that, hey, it's going to be ending at this point. But yeah, essentially now I'm in what's called the consolidation period, where essentially for 3 months, it isn't like a fixed thing, like I could do this earlier, but essentially you're recommended to leave it 3 months and before you go on to a new therapy, essentially, or get back in touch with like IAPT and stuff for new therapy, whether that's CBT again, or whether that's counselling, or whether it's something completely different. And the reason why they get you to do that is this part of the... Yeah, that's part of the seat mounting as well. The reason why they get you to do that is because if I literally ended the therapy and then went back in touch with IAPT, like, the thing I would say is my problem at that point might not be a problem 3 months down the line, or I might get new problems. So it's good to have that kind of 3 month period to try and put in the things that I've learned from CBT, and then get back in touch with them later, essentially 3 months later. You know, she said that obviously, like, if there's something like detrimental that happens and, you know, I need support earlier, then I could get back in touch with him, like, you know, 2 months down the line, or even 1, or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to try and do the 3 month consolidation period, just, you know, try and do it as much as I can. And I mean, so far the behavioral activation stuff, again, it's not perfect, but it is slowly getting into place, which is good. Like, you know, there are things now where it's like I am just able to do things much easier than I was before, which is good. So yeah, so it is definitely working in that regard. I think with the rumination techniques and stuff, they're a bit more difficult to put in, but in regards to the actual like behavioral activation stuff, getting in the behaviors, yeah, that's working pretty well. So so that's good. But yeah, it's just it was a bit of a shock that happened, and yeah, what wasn't the greatest, but again, that's not on my therapist. I think, I don't know, maybe it just wasn't communicated clearly enough. You know, maybe I should have communicated a bit clearly, like, hey, I feel like I need a few more, you know, maybe at least like a couple more sessions, you know, and then I would have been ready to go. I don't know, but I don't know, I think it's the, you know, if you have as much of a good connection as I did with this therapist, you know, I think I've said in the past, like, I feel like this is, you know, my best therapist I've ever had. Like, it kind of means that you do form a bit of a connection. Like, obviously not like a friendship or anything, but, you know, you do form a bit more of a close connection with that therapist, and therefore, you know, losing that therapist, it can be rough. And so if I wasn't like prepared for it, then yeah, it was quite a rough exit. But as I say, I'm kind of just trying to get on with the CBT now, trying to get on with the behavioural activation, just trying to keep it going, really. I'd say it hasn't been perfect, but it's certainly going in the right direction, which is good. I think that's the best way I can kind of describe, you know, how progress is going at the moment. It's like, it's, you know, I'm making progress, but I'm not there yet. Like, you know, it's not perfect. It's not, you know, I'm not at a point where I feel like I'm definitely stable at this point. I'm just, you know, I'm getting there slowly but surely. So yeah, so that's all about CBT. It will probably be counselling next. Again, unless if I change my mind in 3 months' time. I mean, it'll basically be about August, and we're in like June now. So like essentially, at this point, 2 months' time. By that point, things could have changed. There might be new circumstances. There might be many different things. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm kind of waiting on that consolidation period. But I think it will probably be counselling, mainly because I feel like with CBT, I have got all I can from it, really. You know, the rumination techniques are just things I actually need to put into place. And I just need to continue putting in place the wait, where's the bumper? Oh, there. Yeah, the behavioural activation stuff that I need to continue to put into place, and the rumination techniques I need to try and actually more securely put in place in a way. So yeah, what's the chassis out of that? But yeah, you know, hopefully it'll all go well, and then yeah, I can get some counselling, hopefully. Or as I say, whatever I need. But I think it'll most likely be counselling. So yeah, right, we managed to complete that pretty quickly, didn't we? I'm only through the first topic on my list. Yeah, only 12 minutes in, Jesus. Right, so let's complete this job. There we go. Yeah, so I think what I might do is I might get to like, I'll get to like 10% on the kind of, I can't remember, like the house thing. Was it whatever that house was? I might get to 10% on it, see how long the episode is. Then if I feel I can do a bit more, I might get to like 25% maybe. I know that as the levels go on, it takes longer to get to a percentage point. So yeah, it could take a while. So yeah. I mean, you know, to be honest, if the episode's between like 1 and 2 hours, then I'm usually fine, as long as my voice doesn't go. Looking at the golf cart now, it's almost like the whole thing never happened. You're a genius, Dirt Finder. Much obliged. Yeah, Dirt Finder's a weird name. Alright, hold on. There we go, career mode. Yes, there we go. So the detached house. So I'll go up to like 10% on it, and then if I have enough time left and I feel like I can do enough, I might get to like 25% on it, and then yeah, try and do that. So Aurora Smith and Jenny Pebbles, I'm assuming they're ones that live at this detached house. So cards on the table. We live at the old house of Esther Diath. That's how I'm going to say it from now on, Diath. I'm sure it's meant to mean death, isn't it? The eccentric actress who played the Wicked Witch in that classic movie and vanished mysteriously in the national park. Is that meant to be like kind of like a reference to Wizard of Oz, I'm assuming? Like kind of like their in-universe version of Wizard of Oz. That means they don't go up against like copyright stuff. We all know the rumours surrounding the place, but we also know we've picked up an absolute bargain. We don't mind if the furniture moves around a little. That's just next level feng shui. Feng shui, that's how you pronounce it, isn't it? But the grubby exterior is really getting to us, and all the other power washers in town are too scared to set foot in our yard. If you could help us, we'd be eternally grateful. So that'd be interesting as well. So it says that she got vanished mysteriously in the national park. I don't know whether there's actually a level where you go to the national park. I know there's like a park you go to. I mean, we already went to the park, didn't we? Like the playground. And I know there's like a treehouse one, so I don't know whether that's in like a national park. It would be interesting if there's any clues to this like Esther Diath that might suggest how she vanished mysteriously, possibly. I don't know. I'm trying to make like a storyline and lore to this. I haven't got a clue. So yeah, let's go to the detached house and talk about other stuff. Yeah, and this is another fun one. My cat Winnie. So yeah, she's been going through some troubles recently. Essentially, she started like essentially she like climbing up on things really high up, and actually, just before I talk about this, I'm just actually going to try and get an action plan in place because I want to try and use the cleaning liquid properly. Right, multi-purpose. What's multi-purpose? What's multi-purpose? Is there anything that's actually multi-purpose? The gutters plastic. It's just very hard to know what actually counts. Oh, the walls. Okay, so that's good. Or the bricks. Okay, so we'll do the bricks first. Anyway, yeah, so... Oh, and our message comes through. From Aurora Smith, you might notice the odd, super weird, creepy sign on the outside of the house. It's nothing to worry about. What sign? On the outside of the house? Oh, this. Is that it? According to Jenny's research, they're written in Enochian, the ancient language of the angels. You know that's going to come in later, isn't it? You know there's going to be like a... Maybe go to the angels or something. Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought they meant like a for sale sign or something like that. I didn't realise they meant like a symbol. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, this way we're going to have to like put in like a language, aren't we? God. That's where I'm going to have to like look it up. Oh no. I might have to like draw that when I go through like the footage afterwards. I'll like draw these out and try and make like an alphabet from it or something. That'll be interesting. And there's another one. There we go. I'm just gonna try and like find them all, and yeah, I'll write them down afterwards. Oh, there's another one. I'll go up to that. Hold on, where's the ladder? It's the lore. This is the thing is where you have to kind of try and find them before you wash them off. There we go. There's another one. Bit hard to read that one. Any others? Any more for any more? Yeah, you know this like when they did like the Wicker Man teasers and they like they did like the Bjorn and alphabet that you had to try and translate, and I actually did a thing where I actually translated it and stuff. It was so cool. It did say it was like a language, didn't it? So yeah, I'm assuming like an alphabet that I can then try and translate. Hopefully, is there another ladder, or do I need to like get the other ladder up here? I'm not sure. Or can I jump from here? Whoop. There we go. Any more? For any more? Nah, doesn't look like it. Right. Anyway, back on to Winnie. So yeah, so she was having this thing where she was like wanting to climb high up onto places. Like climbing onto the banister, on the back of my headboard, things like that. And also meowing like constantly. And becoming like a lot more like she was hissing a lot more and being very being like very kind of uncooperative essentially. And then so my mum took her, and also she was kind of like licking around her like back end and stuff, and so my mum took her to the vets where she used to work, and it turns out that she had like, I think it was either like enlarged or like irritated like anal glands or something. So originally I think she got originally they got like kind of like I think you have to like press them down or something to kind of soothe them, but then she also got some like steroid injections, I think, or something like that. I was thinking, is this the same bricks? Yeah, it is. So she got that. So ever since she's been better, but she still keeps trying to like jump on the banister outside my room, and the problem is that if one day we feel like if she does that, she's gonna like accidentally fall off or something like that, and we don't want her to like hurt herself or anything. So we prefer that she doesn't go up there, but that's the reason why we've now got these laser pointers, which means that we can control them, essentially just get them to go where we want them to go. So she also, I don't want her in my room now as well, because she keeps like jumping on my shelves and things like that and knocking over my figures. So so that's not helpful. So so I've got the laser pointer now, and it's also just fun to use like with Phoebe as well, and like and with Winnie, and just like, you know, let them play with it. So that's good. That's fun. But yeah, so that was bit of a stress because yeah, I'm having to try and deal with that. Oh, also then I went to. I'll probably talk about in a bit that I went to Towers with. Actually, no, it was when I went to Towers a couple of weeks ago where but it was a couple of weeks. Yeah, I think it was a couple of weeks ago where it was like raining all day, and so I took my brolly with me. But then normally when I get back home, I like put my brolly in the hall and like let it dry off. But I think Winnie must have lied down in it. Like probably took a nap or something. And then the next morning when I came to the brolly, there was like a mysterious puddle in it, quite a big puddle. So it couldn't have been like just from like some of the, the wet from the rain the day before. I mean that would have dried, but also it's quite a big puddle. And then we noticed like a specific smell coming from that puddle. Yeah, it turns out she'd let's say marked her territory in my brolly, so that wasn't fun. So yeah, so we had to like kind of deep clean the brolly and like, spray it with stuff to try and, get rid of the smell. But the worst thing was that even when I like put it back in my room, like Phoebe started sniffing around it. So I'm assuming regardless of getting rid of the actual smell, I'm assuming like some remnants must still be there with it. I'm just hoping that, over the time that kind of like fades away. I don't know. I mean, she hasn't, it was only literally when I like put it back up on my, when I hung it back up that she'd noticed that. So she hasn't since, so maybe it's gone, I don't know. But yeah, so that wasn't fun. And again, we think that's kind of like with that erratic behaviour she's been having, and just which wasn't fun. It was it was just stressful. And yeah, I mean she's better now. She's much calmer now. And she's not. I mean she was going on the banister yesterday, but yeah, since last night she hasn't been. She's been sitting next to the banister, which is fine. But yeah, actually going on it, yeah, it could just we're just worried that she might like fall asleep on it, and then she might accidentally fall off and then fall down the stairs. And obviously it might not look that that big of a fall for humans, but for a cat, like yeah, that could especially if she doesn't land on her feet, then yeah, that could hurt quite a bit. So yeah. But yeah, as I say, she's less erratic now, which is good. But yeah, I'm still not having her in my room though, just because yeah, I don't want to like going on my shelves and stuff, because I think she might have got into my room the other week, and yeah, some stuff like Doctor Who figures I had up on my shelves have all been knocked over. So and there's also some like small parts and stuff like that with them, so I don't want to like accidentally eating them or chewing on them, and choking on them. So yeah, so that's all about Winnie. Next thing is, yeah, when I went to the first Towers visit I did, which was the vlog I did back in it would have been May. Yeah, it would have been early May. When I went with Joe, or briefly with Joe, because he had to leave later that morning because just to get back home. To be honest, just because it was like it's such a long way down to Cornwall. So yeah, but I still got to see him in the morning, which was lovely. And yeah, we had a really nice morning. Really nice to see him again after such a long time. And yeah, just really awesome. Got to go on Curse a good few times in the Night Garden ride, which is so funny. The fact that he called he called like Upsy Daisy Winky Woo or something like that, which is just so funny. And yeah, the amount of they really need to like give that ride a little bit more upkeep, because yeah, some of the things like with like Upsy Daisy and stuff like that, she had like hundreds of flies on her, like. Yeah, that wasn't great. That was a fun day, and for the rest of the day, honestly, it was just really chill. It was just like a really chill day, really nice, not very busy as well. It was a very quiet day, which is good. And yeah, it was just really nice and awesome. What am I missing on the bricks here? Because that counts as bricks as well, right? I was thinking, yeah, because that's the wooden trim there, so that counts as the bricks too. I feel like I'm still missing some. Because that's not connected. That's not connected. I guess trying to figure out what's connected. What am I missing? Is it this? I don't know. I'm missing something there somehow. Is it going to be something like really obvious that I'm missing? Or is it... Oh, hold on. Could it be on this side? Yes. You see, that doesn't make sense. I feel like that should be like a separate bit. I don't know. There we go. Then Joe actually did another Towers visit, I think a couple of weeks later, where then, because he was passing up this way, we let him stay over here for like a little bit of a pit stop, so it was nice to see him then again. And then that evening we went to go and see the new Planet of the Apes film, I think Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And we also did a bit of a Bagpuss marathon as well, which is just, it was funny to get Joe's reactions to that, because it was like, yeah, I think like he didn't like Madeleine the Ragdoll for some reason, not because she was creepy, he just didn't like her attitude, I think, or something, which is just so funny. Yeah, and just like Shonen Gabriel the Toad. And I think one thing I realized as well was when we did it on Scare Seekers for the I think it was episode 5 for like the kids TV episode, when I was showing them on the call, I think there must have been like a bit of like glitchiness or lagginess or something, which meant that I don't think Joe and Aaron like properly saw the Bagpuss clips like in full quality. You know, it might have been like a bit choppy and stuff, and like you could kind of appreciate like seeing it like in full, in like kind of like full quality, I guess. I mean, as good quality as you can get for the 1970s. Yeah, you could kind of see that. Yeah, it is actually quite creepy with like the movement on Gabriel and stuff like that. So so that was fun. We watched a few episodes of that, and yeah, so we went to go and see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I think earlier that day I rewatched the first film, and yeah, it's a pretty good film actually. I think it's just one of those things where like I don't feel sorry for any of the humans, because like pretty much all of them are awful. Like they're really awful characters, and I hate it's kind of like with the Avatar films. Like I hate the humans in it. Like the only humans I like are the ones that actually kind of join the Na'vi in a way. Apart from that, hate the humans. They're all awful. But in this film, I think it was like a bit of a slow burn at the start, and like a very slow start to it. But then once it kind of got into it in a way, once we kind of like follow the main character, I think it's Noah. I think once we kind of follow that character on his own, it makes it like a little bit more engaging. There was also a funny character as well. I can't remember his name now. It's kind of like the orangutan character in it. He was quite funny. The one bit that I really didn't get into though was and by the way, the effects I think probably the effects were like the best part of it, really. Like they look really good, they look really real. To be honest, like the ones from the first like from I think it's Rise of the Planet of the Apes, they hold up really well, considering that was like I think 2011. Like yeah, they hold up really well. But yeah, the one bit which I wasn't really into was the villain of it, Proximus. Yeah, they made it like too like overactory in a way. Like they made it too over the top, which I feel like just didn't. It kind of didn't work, considering like all the other apes were like very grounded. It didn't really work when he was like a very just over the top, too over the top with it, and I kind of like you have like the comic relief of like kind of the orangutan character. I think like one of Noah's friends as well was kind of more of a comic relief, but yeah, Proximus was just way too over the top. There's one part when he says "What a wonderful day," and it's like it reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road. I believe there's like a character who says like "What a lovely day" or something like that. What a lovely day! It just reminded me of that, and I was just laughing the whole time with that. And yeah, and one bit which really made Joe laugh was they meet this like human character, this girl who's like a human character. At one point she says shit, and then you just hear Noah say shit, and it's just Joe was laughing his head off at that, which is brilliant. So yeah, so that was fun to go to, and just first time going to the cinema in a while, which was really nice. And it was kind of funny when Joe got here as well, because my mum decided to move a car out of the way so like Joe could go on our drive, but then literally as soon as like I was kind of helping her out of the driveway, and like as soon as like we were about to go out, Joe had literally arrived, which was so funny. So that was a coincidence. But yeah, nice to see him again. I believe I may be seeing him in later June, so that'll be nice and fun. I'll do the wood cleaner next, I think, for the it's like this trim, isn't there? So after that, went to, of course, big thing, Blackpool Pleasure Beach for the first time, which was I just realised I just wasted loads of that wood cleaner. But yeah, went to Blackpool Pleasure Beach for the first time again, which was really cool, really fun. Lovely day to spend with the Joneses as well. They're just lovely family, really pleasant. And also really nice of them to like give me a lift up there as well, from Chester, so that was lovely. And yeah, just really nice and kind. I'm trying to like, I'm very tired, but also I'm really just trying to like focus on this as well. Yeah, I think I'm kind of like not used to talking and focusing on power washing at the same time. I'm a man, I can't multitask. But yeah, so it was really nice to see that Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and really nice to go there for the first time as well, because as I said, I feel like I had very low expectations of it, but having actually been, I think it's a fun park. I think it's like, if you don't take it too seriously, if you set your expectations low, it's fun. It's definitely not like on the level of Towers, and I wouldn't really even say like on the level of Thorpe in some ways, but in some ways there is some good quality stuff. I think it's just, don't expect massive amounts of immersion, don't expect massive amounts of theming, but some of the ride experiences, I think that's some of the best bits. There are a good amount of rides which are very uncomfortable. Ones that come to mind: Grand National, Big Dipper. Part of Big One, there was the first ride on Big One that I did that was amazing, which was Front Row. It was just, there were some bits with like the new bits of track where it like jolted and we were like, whoa, every time it did that, and just like, yeah, that was quite fun with that, and it wasn't like uncomfortable necessarily, it's just you could definitely feel those jolts. But that was good on Front Row, especially where you couldn't see what was coming in front of you. But then the other bit was on the back row, right at the end of the day. I've never had like such a difference between front and front and back row in my life. Like it's literally like night and day in a way. Like it's just so different, and yeah, not comfortable at all. It was yeah, very rough, and again you had those jolts on the new bits of track which were not fun. But I think definitely the ride of the day was Icon, which was so good. I actually got a pin for it, but I don't have it on me right now. I showed it in the video, but yeah, it was just a just a really good airtime, really smooth, really comfortable, just really fun, just really nice ride. And I love the Mac restraints on it as well, like really just really nice to have that overhead restraint as like a lap bar one, not as like a well, it kind of is over the head, but it is a lap bar in a way. So so that's like fun. And I would have to say it still has more theming than Hyperia. I'll have to go into that in a sec, but yeah, at least it's got like a little bit more theming than Hyperia. But yeah, and obviously I did like Alice in Wonderland as well, which, yeah, I feel from watching the POVs before it, I felt like very kind of uncanny vibes with it. I think just like I felt like everything would be a lot closer. I think it helped that I was with the Joneses on that ride for it. I think there are some bits that still do feel a little bit uncanny. I think it's with like how janky the animatronics are, but also again how close everything is to the car. Like, it's not as close as I expected, but yeah, I think it's just on some POVs that makes it look closer. But yeah, it was still, it was fun. I think fun and chill. And I remember Andy like got a war wound from it because yeah, I think there was like a bit of like exposed fiberglass or something in the bottom of the car. So it so yeah, it cut him. So that wasn't great. But yeah, it was fine. It's just like a little bit of a graze on his knee or something. And we also did Valhalla as well. I think Valhalla was, this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think it was actually the most disappointing thing of the day. I think possibly because a lot of the effects weren't working, but also I think I set my expectations higher for it. Because I think even for some of the things that were working, it still wasn't like great. Like, a lot of them are just, I was expecting like a lot more like animatronics and stuff like that, and instead it's a lot of kind of like static figures and stuff, which they look all right, but again, I think I just set my expectations way too high for it. But you know, it's all right, and I think it was more kind of not knowing when the water was coming that was the more fun part of it. But yeah, I think a lot of the effects and stuff weren't working. Also, they need to change the audio on it because it's very hard to understand what they're saying, which means it's very hard to like get any of the storyline with it. So yeah, but I mean, it was alright. I think like kind of the best bit of it was going up like the first lift hill, and the lighting effects of that, and kind of like the the 2 or 3 headed like dog or wolf at the side. That was a cool animatronic. But yeah, the rest of it's just kind of meh, and I like a lot of dark sections as well, which wasn't great. But yeah, you know, like overall, it's like it's an alright ride, I think. Definitely gets you very wet though as well. But yeah, it was just such a warm day that we didn't even take ponchos on it. I think Laura had her poncho on, but yeah, the rest of us didn't have ponchos on because it was just, Yeah, it was so warm, but also like with the water that like went to our feet, because also we were wearing Crocs as well, just to make sure that we didn't get our shoes drenched and socks drenched. But that was the first time as well that I was wearing Crocs without socks as well, which I feel like is a crime that I hadn't up to that point. So yeah, that was a new experience. But yeah, but it felt weird, like with the water, like it was cold to start with, like near the feet, but it wasn't like your feet kind of like got used to it in a way, which was all right. So that wasn't too bad. But yeah, it's kind of like I do appreciate it, but I think I was expecting a lot more from it. I think I'm very picky, as you can tell. And then I did Ghost Train as well, which I think was kind of like the big one for me to do, like as a scare seeker. I feel like it was my duty to do Ghost Train, and yeah, I appreciate it a lot. I think for the types of scare tactics it uses and stuff. Obviously it's not like, because I think on the most recent Scare Seekers episode we did, which yeah, there's a new Scare Seekers out, which is great. Which yeah, we got recorded, and essentially just like another catch-up episode. So yeah, that's out if you want to check it out. Catching up on Pleasure Beach and my theatre visits and stuff like that, and all that jazz. I think I'm trying to think. Aaron went to like York and stuff like that. Yeah, on that one, we were talking about like Ghost Train and stuff like that, and about the fact that because I kind of considered it my first traditional Ghost Train in a way, and I think like Aaron said something along the lines of like about, well, technically Curse is a Ghost Train. I think it's more just the fact that I think calling Curse Alter Manor just a Ghost Train, in a way, it kind of does it a bit of a disservice. I think it's more than a Ghost Train. It's more immersive than a Ghost Train in a way, from what I consider a Ghost Train. I think it's an enhanced Ghost Train. It's like it goes to a way higher level than that in a way. And so yeah, so that's why I don't really consider it that. I consider this to be my first traditional classic Ghost Train. And that's not to say that Ghost Train's bad or anything. I think it's just, it's definitely not up to the levels of Curse Alter Manor, not even like up to the levels of like the Haunted House or Jewel, I don't think. I think they go to like way higher levels in a way, and have a bit more of kind of a continuous theme and storyline. Even with Jewel, in a way, it still does, while Ghost Train is kind of like a mashup of a lot of different things, with no real like kind of continuous storyline. I feel that's kind of what a Ghost Train is in a way. But yeah, I mean, I appreciated it. I was glad Darcy was there with me, because I was terrified of it. As I say, I can deal with scare mazes and scare actors, and yet as soon as you get me on a Ghost Train, yep, I'm kind of screwed. But yeah, she was great with that, and she was kind of like telling me what was going to come next on each part, which was really good. Basically, literally like guiding me around it. I think it's a shame as well, because I remember Andy saying that you could like film on those rides and stuff, and the staff don't really stop you. I think it's a shame I didn't film on that one to like get like a first reaction. I might maybe next time I go. I don't know. I think it's just because I looked on the website and it said that you can't film, but it's like the staff didn't seem to be stopping people. Like Andy, I know, filmed on it, and yeah, he didn't get stopped or anything. So yeah, but yeah, so maybe next time I might film on it possibly, but yeah, I think just this time I didn't, just because yeah, I just didn't want to get stopped or anything. And yeah, but it's a shame, because I could have got like that first reaction. I could have got like the genuine screams and stuff, like, because I did scream on it at a few points. The main point was they've added this new part. I think it's like after you go down like the mine shaft bit, there's a there's like you turn to the left, and there's like this woman that they've added in, this like kind of new woman statue, very similar to like the kind of statues they have in Valhalla and stuff. But then I thought something jumped out from the other side, but it's actually, I think that there's a mirror, and when the lights kind of flash on, she flashes up in the mirror, and there's like a big loud scream. And so I think that's what really got me, and that really made me scream very loud. The other bit was the bit with the monks. It's such a creepy and ominous and scary bit, because you know they're there, these mannequins, and these and they're also like really creepy, uncanny like mannequins as well, with like the masks and stuff that they put on them. And then you get this kind of like scream, which isn't even one of the monks. It's like from POVs that I've seen, it's more just like a kind of mutilated body at the side and like a fence. But yeah, that bit's just really creepy, especially since as you go into that bit, you see the doors open, you can just see one of the monks before kind of it goes dark. Really creepy area, that, and yeah, really terrifying. But yeah, I really appreciated the Ghost Train. I think that was really cool. But yeah, I think Icon, best bit of the day, and I think of course the best bit of the day being with the Joneses was just lovely. It was just yeah, just really nice to spend the day with them. As I say, I got to thank them so much for letting me spend the day with them, and yeah, just give me the lift and stuff like that, and just being really, really nice people to hang out with, and hopefully I'll be able to see them again soon, which would be nice. So next on the list, my phone's turned off. So I mean, next big thing was reached 100 subscribers, which you would have seen the last video was the 100 subscriber video, where essentially I go over my origins of being a scare enthusiast, essentially because there was someone who kind of on the NGL when I suggested when I asked for like suggestions for 100 subscribers video, they suggested do something that's kind of like scare related or Altonville related. So yeah, that's what I did. I essentially went into the early cringy years of me being a scare enthusiast by like reading reviews from 2018, like getting some footage up from 2019, and then reacting to the first video from 2020 that I did, which was the kind of lineup announcement speculation video in a way, which yeah, I did want to try and like go into also like there was another reaction video I did to the trailer that they did for 2020 and like the first vlog I did from 2020, but the video was already like nearly 3 hours long, so I didn't want to like do any more on it. But maybe in future I could react to those ones at some point. I'll probably like maybe for like anniversaries and stuff like that I might react to other videos and stuff, but yeah, it was quite fun to do that, and yeah, I hope people enjoyed it. It's got quite a few likes and quite a good amount of retention time on it as well, so that's good. So thanks for watching that, and yeah, thanks for 100 subscribers again. It was funny as well because on the day when I got 100 subscribers, that was the day when I went to Towers when it was raining the whole day, and so I decided what I'd do as well is I'd try and ride Curse at Alton Manor 100 times. So I had 19 times left that I needed to ride it to get up to 100, and I managed to do it in the day, and still managed to do other rides as well. Like I managed to go on like on 13 on oh, that's multi-purpose. God damn it! I've been wasting my stone stuff. Yeah, but yeah. So I managed to get on like 13, Nemesis Reborn, Nemesis Subterra. So yeah, so that was all great. What else did I go on as well? I think I went on Galactica as well. And yeah, and Smiler, Oblivion, all those rides. And once the Curse actors round front kind of realised that I was trying to get up to 100, they kept like counting me up each time I went round. And yeah, the ride staff were really nice with it as well, and they let me stay on a few times when it wasn't too busy. I think there was one time where I like went on five times in a row. I remember one of the rides around I did as well. I did it with my eyes closed as well because I wanted to kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like a different experience in a way, kind of like not knowing what was coming in each bit and just like listening to it more as like kind of like an audio thing. It was quite cool in a way, but yeah, and just kind of like spotting loads of like new little different things as well was really cool. And yeah, it was just really nice to keep going around it, I guess, and yeah, get that nice little support from the staff as well. I think also with the actors as well. I think I actually saw someone who was they might have been like shadowing some of the actors, because there was essentially someone who I think they might have also been on some new promo now as well. So I don't know whether it's the same person or not. But yeah, there's someone who's on like a new promo image, who I think is that same person who was like almost like shadowing that day. Essentially, they were just kind of like sitting around the entrance and chatting with some of the actors for the whole day, and yeah, and also counting me down as I was going through the 100 rides and stuff. And then I saw them just as I was leaving from Nemesis Reborn, and then they asked if I did it, and I said yeah. So that was nice. And but yeah, so I think they must have been shadowing the actors that day, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so good luck to them, I guess, in their career. But yeah, it was just again another really nice chill day. But it was raining the whole day, which was the reason why I didn't record that day, because I was planning on recording a vlog that day, but yeah, it was just raining all day, and yeah, it wouldn't have been practical at all. Another one from Aurora. As I sat on the sofa just now, I heard a strange sigh-like sound. Spooky. Should mention that on Scare Seekers. Maybe she's been possessed, I don't know. Or haunted. But yeah, so as I say, just another nice day at Towers, nice chill day. I think I like took a packed lunch that day as well, partially to save on money, but also because kind of with the diet I'm on as well, like yeah, trying to like control the calorie count that I'm on. Yeah, it kind of helped with that day as well. Because I normally try and like do any trips like that on a cheat day in a way. So essentially each week, if I've managed to lose weight, I have like a cheat day on like the Friday, Saturday, whatever. And so if I'm going like to Towers or something on like the Saturday, I'll probably have the cheat day on the Saturday, meaning that I don't really have to, you know, kind of worry about the calories that I'm having, and then I can maybe have like a takeaway later on in the evening or whatever. You know, if I have the money or whatever. Yeah, so that was quite an interesting thing to do, and it was nice as well because I literally had like my packed lunch in the Burger Kitchen as well in Dark Forest, and yeah, they didn't stop me having it there, and because it was raining as well, like yeah, I don't really think any staff would have stopped me, but yeah, so that's kind of a nice thing that even if you're not like ordering anything at any of those places, you can still just have like a packed lunch in there, and at least in the Burger Kitchen, I think I've done that before, and yeah, they haven't really had a problem, so. You see, so that's nice in a way. Like, you know, if you don't want to spend money on food or whatever, then yes, that's fine. And that actually kind of brings me back to Blackpool Pleasure Beach in a way, because one kind of problem I had with that is the fact that you're not allowed to bring in food. Like, that's a bit of a, yeah, it's a bit of an iffy thing. And also the fact that you have to scan on you have to scan your ticket on every ride before you go on. I think there was like I think it was like Blue Flyer where you didn't have to, but yeah, for the majority of rides you have to scan your ticket, and it's just like it causes more congestion, but also it's the fact with like I went on to Steeplechase or Teeplechase, as the sign says on it, and yeah, I thought oh, I'll put my phone in my back pocket because there was like a button on it, but then I was so worried the whole time about it falling out, and it's just like. They really need to have it where like you don't need to either have baggage holds on those rides or just don't have to scan your ticket every time you go on a ride. Like, you know, I understand like scanning as you go in at the start of the day, that's fine, but yeah, I just don't understand why you have to do it. I think it's to get like the queue times accurate, but I mean there's other ways of doing that. You know, Towers do that, and I think the way Towers do it sometimes is they get someone in the queue to kind of take like a ticket or like a card round with them, and then they have to give it to the person at the kind of at the station. So I've done that on Wicker Man in the past, and I think that's a way that they get kind of a queue time. But yeah, you know, I think do it like that. Don't do it as having to scan your ticket, because otherwise, yeah, it makes it much more difficult and much more kind of a faff in a way when you just like want to get on the rides. So yeah, that's kind of another issue I have with Pleasure Beach. Another thing that happened at Towers as well was I'm going to try not to knock my mic for once. Is I got a new little friend. His name's Twiggy. Yeah, and he's the Curse Alton Manor Scarecrow, and he's alright. The best thing I like about him is the kind of material's quite soft on him, which is quite cute. But yeah, the arms are they literally are like twigs. I wish they were kind of like more kind of like 3D tubes rather than kind of like flat pieces of felt. Yeah, he's cute. He's adorable. Yeah. Really cute little Twiggy. So everyone say hello to Twiggy. Yeah, he takes place alongside Dolly as well, who I have. Who's the kind of Curse Alton Manor doll. Try and put him back carefully. Oh, careful. Oh, his legs won't go down. Come on, Twiggy. Cooperate. Hope this isn't peeking on the microphone, by the way. Because I'm like kind of behind the pop filter now. There we go. So that was another thing on that visit. Yeah, so actually no, that was from the. Oh no, wait, no, yeah, that was from that visit. Yeah, midweek. Yeah, I can't remember whether I actually got any merch on when I went with Joe. I'm not sure, because I don't think I got a pin. Or no, I might have got the Nemesis Reborn pin badge. I might have got that day. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I got that day, and then I got Twiggy on my weekday rainy visit, which was good. So yeah, that's all with that Towers visit with 100 rides on Curse Alton Manor. Yeah, it would be funny as well if next time I go around, like either the actors are kind of like the ride up recognise me. That'd be cool. Right, so the next thing is the I finally went to, because with being on Universal Credit, I have like a work coach who I go to, and because I have applied for Fit Notes and stuff. For because not being able to look for work and stuff, I had to go to a working capability assessment, which is essentially where you go along to another side of the job centre in Crewe. It was a bit hard to actually find where the entrance was, and I felt like I had to like press on the buzzer or like the bell to go in, but it turns out I think the door was just unlocked. But Yeah, essentially you go and see a healthcare professional, and they ask you a bunch of questions, they write up a report, and then that gets sent to the DWP, or the Department for Work and Pensions, and they essentially make an kind of assessment on whether they feel you are able to look for work or go to work, or any of that stuff, and therefore not need you to work anymore, or not need you to look for work, and you can possibly get a little bit of extra on top of the universal credit, because of the fact that you can't work because of your condition. So because of the depression, anxiety and stuff that I have with that, even though, as I say, even though I am making progress, I'm not there yet. Like, I still, it's still very much, I don't feel like on stable ground with it. So yeah, it's it is something that still affects my ability to work. And yeah, when I went to that appointment, it was quite stressful. Like, I'm not going to lie about that. It was quite stressful just in general going to appointments, but it was also the fact that it felt quite like an interrogation in a way, which I don't think was the healthcare professional's fault. I think it was more the fact that it was stuff that Department for Work and Pensions would have wanted to know. So it's more in a way kind of Department for Work and Pensions being quite interrogatory with their questioning rather than him. Yes, that felt a little bit stressful and a little bit kind of like I had to be kind of like a bit defensive and kind of like defend myself in a way, and like defend my, like, reason for needing this kind of support. Like, one of the questions, for example, was so I explained, that I did like a 3-year uni course, technically 4 years because I had to take a year off. And so we asked, well, if I was able to do university, how come I'm not able to do a job? Because university is basically like a job. And I didn't say this, but for starters, I'd say university isn't really like a job. It's I think, if you don't go to university for a day, or, for a few days, then you're not going to get kicked off the course necessarily, if you have good reason. If you don't go to your job for a few days, it's very likely you could get fired. So I feel like that's like kind of a major difference. But I think it's also the fact that even though I was able to do that university course, I was only barely able to do it. Like, I certainly wasn't able to do it on a consistent basis. So yeah, I think that's kind of the reason that I gave. Essentially, like, I was only just about able to scrape through it, and even then I didn't like pass my final project technically. I also had to explain to him what an exit award was as well, because he didn't know what that was, which if anyone doesn't know, it's essentially if you have enough credits to like get through the course, but you don't pass. Basically, you can get enough credits to get through the course, but not enough credits to get like an honorary degree. So essentially, I had enough credits for the first 2 years, but just missed out on the final project, which meant that I didn't have enough for the final year, which meant instead of getting like a degree with honours, I got a degree without honours, which is also known as an exit award, which is what I got. So I still have like the certificate and stuff like that, and I still have it that I can like put on my CV and stuff. It's just it's not with honours in a way, so it's not like a full-on award that I get. But yes, so that was quite a stressful thing, quite draining, quite depressing to go to. But the good news of that is that I think it was literally yesterday, I got a response to that, and essentially, in a way, I passed. Essentially, now they believe that I am not fit to work, I'm not fit to look for work at this point, which means there is no obligation for me to look for work at the moment, and I may get some extra on top of my universal credit. And I also think that means that the work coach appointment stop as well, because I don't think it was yesterday, I think it was the day before. But yesterday I got a notification on my universal credit thing to say that my next appointment, which was going to be this Thursday, has been cancelled. So I think that I'm going to keep checking, but I think the reason for that might be because now I'm considered not fit for work. It means I don't need to go to those appointments. I mean, I'll double check to see if it's that it's just because maybe my work coach isn't free or whatever, but but I think it might be because because I don't need to go to them at this point. Now, I think the problem is I don't really know when it is counted that I will be fit for work in a way, because when I was talking to the healthcare professional, I said kind of like, well, it's a bit bad that if I'm ready to start looking for volunteering work at the end of at the end of June possibly, which is kind of when I'm thinking I might be able to start looking for that again. Like, this will all have been kind of like a waste of time, because it's like, like, I get kind of the announcement like at the start of June, then by the end of June I'm able to, the announcement of not being fit to work, and then suddenly by the end of June I'm able to start looking for volunteering places again. But then he kind of explained that even if it's volunteering work, that's still not work, is it? Like, I'm still not getting paid for it, which means in regards to like the financial stuff, it would still be beneficial to have that extra, because the depression is stopping me from looking for part-time work, because I feel the need to do volunteering work to start with. So the depression and the anxiety for that. But yeah, so it's essentially that I feel the point when I'm starting to look for part-time work, that's where I'll update it on my universal credit and say like, hey, there's been an update. And I think even at that point, I might still not like, it might be that I get less money, but I still think it might be that I still get some form of benefit for the disability stuff. It just might slowly go down over time, just like with the universal credit itself. And yeah, I still might not have to do as many appointments with my work coach, but yeah, it's all kind of up in the air at the moment. But at this point, it's just mainly just trying to focus on the CBT stuff, the behavioural activation, trying to get that into place, and yeah, hopefully, yeah, just try and make a good progress on that, I guess. Right, we're at 26% now, and how long will be? I've been recording for an hour. I'll try like maybe going to, I don't know, like, let's go like maybe to 30%, then maybe 40, 50, and then yeah, let's see, because yeah, I've still got like a good amount of things to talk about, and yeah, and yeah, it's only been like about an hour, so I should be fine. So the next thing, I already talked about the new Scare Seekers episode. Go and watch it, or listen to it. Yeah, I'm hoping maybe we might be able to get them out a little bit more regularly, like maybe try and get them out maybe once every month or every couple of months, like kind of like late June, early July. That'd be a good idea. But yeah, the next thing is Doctor Who's back. Yeah, that happened, because that was May 11th. So that was, yeah, I think that was before I filmed the Minecraft video. So after I filmed the Minecraft video. So yeah, Doctor Who's back. We're up to like episode 5 now. Yeah, episode 5. So yeah, there's been a lot of episodes, and like we're over halfway through the series, which is crazy. We definitely need more episodes like per series, like, because yeah, it's just 8 episodes, definitely not enough. But yeah, so I guess I'll just give my overview of each episode. So first one was Space Babies, which I think it felt quite hollow in a way. Like, it wasn't necessarily awful or anything, it's just it felt very hollow. Like, it felt very kind of mid, and sometimes that's kind of worse than it being really bad, like, because at least when it's really bad, you kind of like feel proper like passion and emotion towards it. When it's kind of like Space Babies in a way, it's kind of like just kind of feel nothing towards it, really. No kind of passion, no kind of like yeah, no kind of like enthusiasm towards kind of like critiquing it or anything. It was just, yeah, it felt very hollow in a way. I feel like I like Ncuti Gatwa's performance as the Doctor. I've been liking his performance kind of overall, really. I think he's been really great as the Doctor. And yeah, I feel like with Millie Gibson as Ruby, I was getting still that kind of like feeling like it felt like more like she was acting as the character instead of like being the character in a way. Like, it felt very like actory, like almost like she was reading the lines off the script rather than like performing them. So yeah, I was kind of getting that from her. She's got better as the series goes on, I think, but yeah, it kind of felt like that in Space Babies. It felt like that in The Church on Ruby Road as well, the Christmas special before it. And yeah, and I kind of like the Creature of the Bogeyman. I like the design of it. I think the effects on it were done very well. I think it's just very underused, I think, was the problem. But I like the explanation for it and stuff. But yeah, I think it's just very underused. The biggest thing that was distracting me was the babies themselves, the space babies, the effects on them. It's so funny as well, because people on like the behind the scenes said, "Oh my god, these effects look great," and it's like, no, they don't. They really don't. They look very uncanny. It really doesn't fit in. And like, even though on the behind the scenes Unleashed, they kind of explained how they did the effects, it didn't make it any better. It was still very uncanny. I would have much rather they did what they did with the Sea Devils in Legend of the Sea Devils. Not with like they did like a bit of like a CG on the mouth, I think, a little bit, and like the eyes. I mean more like having like a light that flashes up whenever they speak. I think that would have worked much better. I think also the problem was as well is the voices sounded too old. Like they still got kids to do the voices, but they didn't sound like toddlers, I think was the problem. And if you actually have it coming, I think that would have worked if it was like a voiceover thing on like a voice box or something. But the problem is if they're literally talking like that, then like their voice boxes wouldn't be that, developed, which means they wouldn't sound that old in a way, so that doesn't really make much sense. And I think, as some people were saying, it's kind of like the things that were happening on their upper part of their faces weren't happening on the bottom, and from what they were saying, like, if they were acting shocked or surprised or happy, it didn't show on the upper part of their face, because, they're babies, they're not actual actors, they're like, they're not actually acting, they're just getting, a CG face put on top of them. Again, I get the technology, but it's just, it didn't work at all, and I kind of wish the character, I think it was Jocelyn, I think, who played Nanny, who's like the AI thing, but it turns out it was an actual person. I kind of wished it just stayed as an AI voice. I think you could have focused more on things like the Bogeyman in that case, instead of having this extra character of Jocelyn, which I didn't really think was needed. But yeah, it was just kind of, it felt very hollow, kind of very bland, and yeah, I just didn't really get that much enjoyment out of it. And it was a double bill as well. So then we got the Devil's Cord, the second episode, which was I enjoyed it for the most part. It was almost going to be like a 9 out of 10. I think on a second watch it kind of would have got down to an 8, but then I had to do it as like a 7 just because the main problem I had was with the ending of it, which was essentially there was we knew that there was going to be Shirley Ballis and Johannes Radebe, I think his name is, who were from Strictly Come Dancing, which I love that show. It's great, can't wait for it to come back. I even went to go and see it live once, which was great. I'd love to go and see it live again, just the tickets are just so much. But anyway, so we knew that was going to be on, and we didn't really know how, and it's because there is this big song and dance number at the end of the Devil's Cord, which it just doesn't fit in. Like, you have the main villain of Maestro who breaks the fourth wall, and that's fine because I think like Maestro is part of this pantheon of gods in a way, like the toy maker from The Giggle, and yeah, so that makes sense to me. I feel like Maestro breaking the fourth wall, that's fine, that works. I feel the problem was the Doctor broke the fourth wall, and yeah, even though there are examples of the Doctor breaking the fourth wall in the past, I try to ignore those examples. Like, I think it's like in the Feast of Stephen at the end, he says like a Merry Christmas to the audience. Just because it happens doesn't mean I like it, and doesn't mean that I think it was a good idea then. I don't think it's a good idea then. I don't think it's a good idea now. I don't think the Doctor should be able to break the fourth wall. I don't think that's the kind of entity they are in a way. Like, they're still kind of relatively mortal. If it's kind of like this godlike character like Maestro or something like that, yeah, I think that works. But I don't think it works with the Doctor. And yeah, just the song and dance number massively goes against the tone of the episode. Like, yes, there is singing and stuff in the episode, but that's kind of, as they kind of mention at one point, kind of being diegetic and non-diegetic. And I think with this, it just didn't work. And I think also there was no purpose for it. Like, if it was like if they did it to like defeat Maestro at the end of it, that could have worked a little bit better, but they don't even do that. It's just they do it because they do it. And the whole premise of it being there's always a twist at the end, like saying that at the end of all the Doctor's adventures there's always a twist, but that's wrong. There isn't always a twist at the end. Like, it's I'd say in the vast majority of cases there isn't a twist at the end of the episodes. It ends pretty kind of open and shut case, really. It's just, it's not, a lot of the episodes aren't really left very open-ended, so yeah, it's kind of wrong in its own premise, but also just the lyrics for the song are just shit as well. Like, earlier in the episode you hear like songs which are kind of like they're meant to be bad songs because like kind of Maestro's taking the music out of everyone, so the Beatles do like a bad song and Cilla Black does like a bad song and stuff, and they're meant to be bad, they're meant to be purposely bad, and yet they were better than There's Always a Twist at the end. It's just the lyrics were awful. I think it was Russell T Davies who wrote the lyrics as well. It's like, just get Murray Gold to write them, and if Murray Gold did write them, then I guess there's no excuse at that point. Murray Gold, be better. But yeah, it's just, and the worst thing is it's stuck in my head. Even though I hate the song, it's still stuck in my head, which I absolutely hate. But yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing that stopped me from like giving it like a better score. But I think it's just also the fact that it was advertised as a Beatles episode, and it really isn't. Like it got the Beatles in it, but it's not a Beatles episode at all. It's mainly with Maestro, and I really like Maestro. My friend who I went to uni with, Marley, who was a big Doctor Who fan, they hated Maestro, which I get. To be fair, I think it's an acquired taste. I think Council of Geeks said as well. Vera Wild from Council of Geeks, who does like a lot of LGBTQ plus stuff, commented on the drag thing, and essentially that they're not kind of into drag as much, or like they're into drag, but like drag performances can be quite they stay on like a level 11 a lot of the time and never really go down. And I think that is kind of what happened with Maestro, where they were on a level 11 the whole time mostly. And I think really the only reason why I liked Maestro was because I kind of expected less, really. I expected it to not be as good. I expected it to be too over the top. I didn't think it was too over the top. I think it was just that it was on a level 11 the entire time. But I think there was the fact that there was an element of threat I quite liked. Like I didn't expect that, and so I was glad there was at least some element of threat from them. But and yeah, I think Jinx Monsoon did a good performance. It was just, yeah, it was very much level 11, I think, which I think that's what brought it down from a 8 to a 7 in a way for me. But yeah, I still really like the story. I think the idea of it having, you know, music going from the world, and the fact that that causes technically a nuclear apocalypse, which they kind of call back to Pyramids of Mars in a way, where like the Doctor takes Sarah Jane back to 1980 to see what would happen after Sutekh destroyed the world. They kind of do the same thing with like the Doctor and Ruby, taking Ruby back to see what would happen if Maestro had destroyed the world and went up music from the world. But and also that kind of brings up a bit of a discrepancy about you know, like why it's the Devil's Chord takes place like 6 months after Space Babies, and there's kind of like a weird thing in like the continuity of the episodes of like where things take place. And yeah, I kind of have a bit of a theory that so there's this character Susan Twist. Well, I don't even think it's the character's called Susan Twist. The actor's called Susan Twist. I thought it was the character's name, but no, the actor's called Susan Twist. And essentially it's someone who keeps it has Vera Wild would say from Council of Geeks, it's kind of like a mystery box scenario where it's essentially, ooh, what's the mystery box going to be this season? And yeah, it's this Susan Twist thing. Essentially this character keeps appearing, showing up, and yeah, I have a theory that you know, we're kind of going through this kind of pantheon of gods, and there's this character called the One Who Waits. I don't know whether Susan Twist is the One Who Waits, but I think Susan Twist is part of this pantheon. And so we've had like the Toy Maker, who's kind of like the god of toys in a way. They're not necessarily gods, but they're kind of like godlike beings. So Toy Maker being kind of like the god of toys, you have Maestro being kind of like the god of music. I think Susan Twist is like the god of television, because in some of the clips we've seen her kind of like dressed up in this kind of like, I don't know, this kind of like business suit, and she's on like a camera set and stuff like that. And I've heard these kind of rumours and theories that it's this whole series, because it's a bit more kind of wacky and out there in some ways, which it does really much feel like in a lot of the episodes. It gives me the theory that Susan Twist is kind of like the god of television, and essentially this entire series has been taking place in a TV show, which I think it would work. I don't think it would kind of solve some of the issues I have, like with the song There's Always a Twist at the End. That could be explained by the fact that this is all a TV show, and that's the reason why the Doctor's able to break the fourth wall. I still wouldn't like it, but at least it would be an explanation, which I would appreciate. But yeah, that's kind of my theory on that. And yeah, we keep seeing Susan Twist at these different things, like yeah, we see her in Space Baby. She's on like a screen. She's in Church on Ruby Road as well. She's like a dancer in like the club where Ruby's performing. Oh, I just bashed my arm. She's also in Wild Blue Yonder, where she's in the Isaac Newton scene, which kind of wish wasn't there. And she plays like one of the maids and stuff. Yeah, and then she's in like the episode Boom as well. She's like the face on the ambulances. She's in 73 Yards, where she's kind of like a hiker character. So yeah, she's in a lot of it. And yeah, so she's clearly being built up to something. I think she's going to be like the part of the pantheon, god of TV or something like that. She might be the One Who Waits. I'm not sure. People keep saying like the trickster from the Sarah Jane Adventures might be the One Who Waits. I think that's because he was part of a pantheon as well, and so they're thinking it's the same pantheon. Don't get me wrong, I would be fine if the Trickster came back and if it was part of this pantheon. I don't think the Trickster's the one who waits, because I feel like the one who waits is meant to be a bigger, more powerful figure. I don't think the Trickster's powerful enough. Like, don't get me wrong, he's pretty powerful. He can essentially get you to sign into a deal. Essentially, with this character, he wears like kind of like a long, big hooded cloak, and he has this like very kind of like featureless face, and he essentially makes you do a deal with him, and essentially it can like either save your life, or I think in like the Sarah Jane Adventures episode, the first one, it was like this woman kind of like was gonna fall off the edge of a pier and kind of does a deal with the Trickster to swap places with Sarah Jane, so that means she survives and Sarah Jane doesn't. Second one, Sarah Jane tries to save her parents, and, you know, does a deal with the Trickster for that. Third one, Sarah Jane's going to marry a guy who's going to die, and so he does a deal with the Trickster to basically marry Sarah Jane for his life, essentially. And yeah, so that's kind of essentially what the Trickster is, but I just don't really think that's powerful enough for the one who waits. Like, if it's more powerful than the Toymaker, if that makes the Toymaker afraid, I feel like it needs to be a bigger power. And I don't know, maybe Susan Twist could be that, or maybe it's going to be something that's going to be built up even more over time. But yeah, anyway, but yeah, you know, Devil's Cord, I think I enjoyed it for the most part. I did enjoy Maestro's performance. I did enjoy the Doctor and Ruby's performance as well. It's just, yeah, I just think that there's always a twist at the end just ruined it for me. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I like seeing Shirley Ballas and Johannes there, but yeah, it just didn't fit at all for me. And yeah, kind of ruined it. And it's like, it's these moments where it's just like, Russell, you're so close and you fucked it. Like, he gets so close. There is actually one episode this series where I think he didn't actually, which is good. There is also Boom as well, which wasn't written by him, so that's the reason why that one doesn't have any major issues. But yeah, there's just always something with what Russell does. Like, there's always a twist at the end. No, there's always something that Russell does just to piss me off. So yeah, so that's the Devil's Cord. Yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. Then there was Boom, which, yeah, written by Stephen Moffat. He came back. I did really like this one. I think the main problem was that essentially the idea of the story is that the Doctor steps in this like landmine, and essentially for the whole episode he has to kind of stay still on it while you know, also like, you know, trying to help Ruby out, you know, to help him, and you know, there's also other different things that happen. There's this whole thing, the whole kind of plot line about, you know, capitalism in war, which I think was really good. I think my biggest problem with it was, though, that you kind of know that the Doctor and Ruby are going to be all right. Like, for example, there's a bit where, like, Ruby gets shot at one point, and you know she's going to be okay because you know she's in the rest of the series. So in a way, they kind of have a bit of plot armor where it's like, you know they're going to be fine. So yeah, that kind of didn't really work as well. But I mean, overall, I did really like the story. And again, it just shows that Stephen Moffat does a much better job when he's not the showrunner. Like, his episodes where he's just, you know, doing it as like a one-off kind of standalone, he's great. But yeah, when he's an actual showrunner, he has to like keep a story arc going, not so good. So yeah, you know, I do really like it though. I thought it was a pretty good episode. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a little bit difficult to kind of have any stakes when you know the Doctor and Ruby are going to survive. But yeah, it had some like really kind of nice emotional moments as well. I remember I actually watched it on the morning of going to Blackpool Pleasure Beach as well, so I was a bit distracted from that, so I had to watch it again. But yeah, I think it was a really good story as well. Some very dark moments as well, and yeah, some just really nice commentary on like kind of war and stuff, and essentially kind of how pointless and futile it is and how capitalism kind of feeds into that. Yeah, so I quite like that. But yeah, you know, it's just solid story and really nice to see Stephen Moffat again. And again, all the problems I have with it are really nitpicks, to be honest. Then the next one was 73 Yards, which I think is quite a Marmite episode. I think there's a lot of people who really like it, and there's a lot of people who really don't. And I can see why, because it's a very kind of it's an episode that really makes you think. It's a really like confusing episode. I think my main issue with it is I think it should have been a two-parter. Obviously, two-parters aren't as possible nowadays because, you know, they're just not doing as many episodes, so it makes it a lot more difficult. But yeah, I think the problem is that it feels like it's two stories. It feels like the first part should have been just the bit in Wales in the pub, and the second part should have been in London, where kind of Ruby goes up against Albion, the Albion Party, where it's essentially like a, you know, kind of like a right-wing political party from Wales. And yeah, so but I did really like some of the commentary with that, and especially like where it brought in nuclear war, because obviously I love nuclear. Well, I don't love the idea of nuclear war. I like to kind of study nuclear war in a way. You know, I like to kind of see things that involve nuclear war. So yeah, so that was a nice thing to add in. I've also been watching. I also watched through Years and Years, which is another thing that Russell T Davies did recently. Really good. That just shows that Russell T Davies can do like good stuff, because Years and Years is fantastic and really harrowing, and it predicted a lot of stuff, but it's also kind of predicting a lot of stuff that's happening right now, which is, yeah, it's kind of crazy that he managed to do that in like 2018, 2019. But yeah, it's yeah, that's a really good series. But a lot of the stuff in 73 Yards is very similar to Years and Years, with some of the nuclear stuff, some of the political stuff, how time passes in it as well. Yeah, it's just really good. And yeah, and I think for Millie Gibson as well, it's, you know, her best performance. She really gets the time to shine, which is great. I think like some like the aging makeup on her could have been like a little bit more obvious. Like, it's really mainly that she gets like a new hairstyle. It's not very clear that she's aging throughout it a lot of the time. But yeah, I just really liked it, and I really liked how we didn't really get many answers at the end of it. Like, I kind of like how it's left open-ended in a way. I think that works really well. And in this case, there was a twist at the end. But yeah, I just think it needed... I think as a two-parter, it would have worked a lot better. And it means that you could have focused the first part more on kind of the Welsh stuff, the second part more on the London stuff with Albion. And yeah, and I think kind of my way that I rationalised it, because there's this whole thing of basically there's this woman who keeps following Ruby around because the Doctor steps in this fairy circle. Stay with me on this. And then essentially she keeps following Ruby, but she's always 73 yards away. And she's kind of saying something to people who go up to her, and that makes people run away from Ruby. And the thing that I think that she says to them is essentially whatever will make them run away from Ruby. So I don't think it's the same with every person. I think it's always different. And it's not necessarily just making them run away in fear. It makes them kind of like have disgust and disdain, like how Ruby's mum, Carla, kind of has like, you know, very kind of disgusting, you know, disgusted look on her face. It was also nice to have Kate Stewart back as well, briefly. And I think even though it was a very brief cameo, it's way better than like the full appearances that she had like in the Chibnall era. Because yeah, it was just really nice to see her back, and it was like, it wasn't long, but I think it was very substantial. I think it really worked. So yeah, I do appreciate that. And I actually met Gemma Redgrave briefly once. When I used to do like the Hyde fundraisers charity stuff, and I used to be part of the costuming group called the Shapeshifters. When we unveiled the Zygons for the first time, Gemma Redgrave was at the convention that we're at. I think it was the Sites of the Time Lords at the National Space Centre in Leicester. And so while I was in one of the Zygon costumes, yeah, we actually got a little bit of a photo shoot with Gemma Redgrave, which is quite cool. So I didn't really get to properly meet her, but yeah, I kind of got to a little bit, so that was nice. I think in the photo she's actually like kind of leaning on me in a way, so that was kind of fun. It's at 73 yards. I really enjoyed it. I think, yeah, I understand why some people don't, but yeah, I think it's a yeah, I think it's just a really good quality episode, to be honest. Just really good quality, really strong episode. Probably strongest of the season so far. Then speaking of strongest of the season so far, going to the exact opposite for me, I understand I'm very much in the minority on this episode, but the next one was Dot and Bubble, which I absolutely loathe, and I know a lot of other people really like it. And to be honest, the reason why I really don't like it isn't necessarily for the reason that a lot of people might think, because I think a lot of people are thinking now out the big thing that happens at the end, the big reveal that happens at the end, which I do have problems with, not necessarily with the message that it tries to bring across. I love the message that it tries to bring across. I think just the way it was executed, and I think the way a lot of things were executed in that episode weren't great. But the main issue I had was, to be honest, is that the main protagonist was just so unlikable. And I get that was the point, but having an unlikable protagonist for the whole time becomes so grating and annoying, and it means, similar to, like, you know, as I said with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, like with the Avatar films, I don't feel for those characters, because it's like, I don't want them to live. I hate them, so I don't want them to succeed, or, you know, I don't really want to, you know, kind of support them in any way. Like, they are awful characters. And that's going besides the things that we learn at the end of the episode, but she's just a really unlikable character, and a lot of the characters are unlikable. I think the only one who isn't is, I mean, obviously the Doctor and Rubio, I think Gatwa and Millie Gibson do a good job again. You know, Shooter Gatwa and Millie Gibson, they do a really good job again for the little screen time that they have. But then the other character that I honestly really like is Ricky September, who gets killed in a really brutal way, but it's because he's the only likable character there. And so, yeah, it just wasn't fun for me. And I think the reason why I kind of missed the big message at the end is because, I mean, it's partially just because I think I was just a bit oblivious to it, but also because, and I missed a few lines throughout the episode as well. But I think the reason why I missed some of those lines was because I was so frustrated with how unlikable the characters were that I missed a lot of those points. But essentially the big thing at the end was there's a lot of little things hinted throughout the episode. Like, for example, all the cast and all the characters are white apart from the 15th Doctor, Shooter Gatwa. And so it's essentially the whole idea that the people who live in, I think it's the place is called Fine Time. The idea is essentially that all of them are white supremacists and they are all racist. And yeah, they essentially, because they were born into a world where there were no black people, it essentially means that that's what they've grown up to be, and kind of like the laws of Fine Time and the home world that they're on are racist, essentially. And don't get me wrong, I like that message and I like the idea of it. I really do. I think, and the performance that Shooter Gatwa gives at the end is brilliant. But I only noticed that this was the case when I watched Doctor Who Unleashed and Russell T Davies pointed it out. And I think the problem with that is it was too subtle, which again, I think is the point. And it was more something that he said on the Doctor Who Unleashed, where he essentially said that he was wondering how long it was going to take people to notice that there was like no other black characters in it, there were all white characters, and how long it was going to take to notice, you know, that these were white supremacists. And he said that if you didn't notice it, then what does... Basically, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but if you didn't notice it, then what does that say about you? And I kind of feel that's a little bit condescending in a way, like, you know, like, almost like that says something about you if you didn't notice it. Like, I don't really like what that's suggesting, in a way. I don't really like what that's suggesting about me. Like, it's suggesting kind of like that I'm not a good person because I didn't notice it. That's not kind of the best kind of thing to suggest to your fans, Russell. So, yeah, that's kind of the reason why I have a bit of an issue with that. And also, I think it needed to be made a little bit more clearer. Again, I think I did miss some lines. And again, in hindsight, it's very clear. But, like, for example, it's very clear that in hindsight that there are no other white characters. But, like, that's not the thing I'm looking at in an episode. I'm looking, you know, whether it's how many black characters there are, how many white characters there are. I'm just more focusing on the actual episode and the performances, and obviously how annoyed I was by the main character. I think her name was Lindy. Yeah, I absolutely hated her massively. But again, the point was to hate her, but I just don't have her as a protagonist. And yeah, I think that's just the main thing that annoyed me. I don't know. I think I need to give it a rewatch just to see if the message of the episode really maybe works a little bit better on me. Maybe when I actually... Because I did rewatch the final scene, and watching the final scene knowing that context, because I also thought there's essentially a bit where she says, like, the Doctor's basically trying to, like, get these people to go with him in the TARDIS to send them to a safe world, and they refuse. And I thought it was more that she was kind of aiming that stuff, like, she basically says that we can't go with you because you're different. I thought that was kind of aimed at the Doctor and Ruby, because then, you know, they're not from that world and they're both different, and they're both kind of not pure in a way. But when I actually rewatched it, she actually says, "You, sir, you are not the same," and they mention things like voodoo and stuff like that. So yeah, it is kind of very on the nose at that point. But again, I think I just didn't notice in that point because I was just so annoyed by how unlikable the characters were, and I genuinely didn't know, like, why Shooty, or, you know, why the Doctor kind of gave that kind of very strong performance. But afterwards, yeah, it is a very strong and great performance from it, and especially since I believe that was like the first scene he shot for this series. That's amazing. And I think not only him as well, I think credit should go to Millie Gibson as well. I think in that scene she doesn't say much, but she does a great performance in the background there, and I think that's really great. I just think that message needs to be made a little bit clearer so it would have had a bit more of an impact on that first watching. I think I do really need to give it a rewatch, but at the moment it's like it's less to do with that, it's more to do with how unlikable Lindy is, and just having to deal with that for an entire episode as the main protagonist. I get her being a character in it, and I get having a villain as the protagonist, but you can have a villain as the protagonist and have them be likable. she's just not likable at all, and I absolutely hate her character. But as I say, I think I'm in the minority on this. I think a lot of people really love this episode, and I really don't. And I think even if I do bring it up, like, because at the moment I'd say it's like kind of like a 2 out of 10. Even if it gets like to a 3 or a 4 out of 10, I don't think it will get much higher, just because, yeah, of how unlikable Lindy is. It's just, yeah, it's just really, really not likable. I think the creatures in it as well, which are, they're called the man traps. Like, why is that their name? Like, because they don't just trap men, they trap women as well. But why are they called man traps? Like, that is, there was never an explanation for that. But yeah, in Doctor Who Unleashed, they say they're called man traps, and it's like, why? But anyway, yeah, the man traps. Yeah, I think it was a good effect. I saw some people saying that the CG didn't look good on them, but I thought the CG looked fine. I think it's just more the fact that they made these big physical props and they put a lot of CG over them. I think that's the problem that some people had. But yeah, I think they look good. And yeah, and I think they were threatening, and I think they look creepy and sinister. I think it's just the problem with the Bogeyman again. I think from Space Babies, I think it's just felt underused again. Like, I feel like they could have used them a little bit more. But yeah, my main problem overall was kind of Lindy and how unlikable she was, and how unlikable a lot of the other characters were, which again, I get the point, but that doesn't make it an enjoyable watch, you know? So yeah, so that's my main problem with it. But yeah, the next episode is Rogue, I believe, which is kind of like a historical one, is kind of like one being set in the past, which looks pretty cool. I kind of like, essentially, like, it looks like these kind of shape-shifting bird-like aliens, which looks cool. I mean, the effects look cool. I just hope they don't make them too over the top. But yeah, I think they look kind of cool and awesome. And Jonathan Groff's in it as well as kind of like a guest star who he's been in like Hamilton, and I believe he played Kristoff in Frozen. And, you know, I think he's a pretty good performer, so yeah, I'm excited to see him in it, and I'm sure he'll do a really good job. But everyone keeps saying that he's going to be Captain Jack. He's not going to be Captain Jack. Like, just because he has a big space gun doesn't mean he's Captain Jack. And I think with all the stuff that happened with John Barrowman, I really don't think they're going to want to bring that character back. Like, so yeah, I really don't think that he's Captain Jack. And to be honest, I want him to be a new character. And I believe his name is actually Rogue, so that's, you know, the title of the episode. So I think, yeah, I don't think he's going to be Captain Jack. He might be a similar character, maybe. I think it describes him as like a kind of like a bounty hunter in a way, like kind of hunting specific aliens. So yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's kind of like a new version of Captain Jack, but I don't think it's the exact same character in a way. So it might even be even better than Captain Jack, like maybe less kind of like sexually charged in a way, because I feel like, yeah, that was a quite big issue with Captain Jack at times. Which, yeah, didn't really help John Barrowman's case, not going to lie. But, yeah, but also another kind of bit of exciting news is that, so with the kind of 2-part finale that they're doing, I believe it's the Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death, which I love the title Empire of Death. I think that sounds like a really cool episode title. But yeah, they're doing that in cinemas. And unfortunately, there's no cinema around near me that's doing it. But my friend Marley that I mentioned earlier, they're going to see it in... they live kind of near London. And so they're going to be seeing it, and they had a spare ticket, and I had a bit of spare money to get some train tickets to and from London. And so I'm going to be watching the finale in London, in one of the cinemas there. I can't remember which one it is now. It's kind of like just a little bit outside of London, but yeah, I'm going to be going, and I think it's a View as well, which is really cool, because they're usually pretty good cinemas. They usually have like the recliner seats and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be really nice to be there. And to be honest, it's not just like going to watch the finale like on the big screen. It's also just be nice to see Marley again, spend some time with them, and yeah, like you know, finally stay over as well, which would be nice. So yes, that's going to be exciting. And honestly, I just love going down to London. Just London's a really cool place, and yeah, so it'd be really nice to go down there. And I say train tickets were pretty cheap, so yeah, I'll be going there. It's just those kind of things for me to look forward to and just keep me busy, and just connecting with people, really. You know, as I say in the 100 subscribers video, like, there's so many people I've connected with through the channel, not just through the channel, but, you know, with Marley, it's like through uni and stuff like that, and just, yeah, you know, it's just really nice to have like all these people around me now. Even though I have some of those kind of like attachment issues and stuff like that, and kind of you know, mistrust of friendships and things like that, and relationships, it's still nice to know that those people are there. And so yeah, it's just trying to make those connections as much as I can. I think in early July as well, for one thing, I might possibly be going to that Dead Good Ghost tours that I mentioned, which Chloe kind of mentioned. I think she mentioned it in one of her one of like the Instagram questions and answers things where she kind of plugged Dead Good Ghost tours, which sounds like a ghost tour in Chester, which I might be doing at the start of July. So I'll be able to see her finally performing that, which will be brilliant. And yeah, so that'll be really nice and cool to see. But then also, I think possibly the next weekend, there might be a weekend where I'm going to be going to a couple of theme parks, which I don't think I've been to in like at least a decade. And I think one of them might be a theme park which I might have been the first ever theme park I've ever been to. So I'm going to keep them a secret for now because I'll be probably doing vlogs for them. But yeah, it's going to be really cool to go back to them because I imagine they've changed a lot since I last went. And yeah, so it's going to be like really cool just to see like any of the changes and differences. And yeah, just kind of try and remember from the first times I went, really, like especially one of them, say if it was the first ever theme park I went to, like it's quite a momentous moment to go back. Right, so now we're up to like an hour and 40. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the NGL stuff, and I said there were two things that were put in kind of in between, which I said I didn't prompt them, but I guess it just must be that yeah, they must have just found the old links either on like Twitter, Threads. I do have the Facebook page, but I don't really think anyone's following that, so it's probably from Twitter or Threads. Probably Twitter, to be honest. But yeah, so the first one, it's, as they say, not much of a question, so I'll go through this one first because I think it'll be a bit quicker. But yeah, so not so much of a question, but recently came across your Walton Files video. Awesome job. You have a very calming and interesting demeanour in the videos. It would be great to see you do more stuff like that. Good luck with the channel. So thank you for that for starters. Yeah, it's really fun to cover the Walton File stuff just because it's one of these things which I don't think necessarily all of my audience are into. I don't really know if everyone's that interested in it, but it's something that I really like to cover because it's something that I'm passionate about. You know, it's I really love the series. I really love what Martin Walls did. I was debating whether that was actually Martin Walls who saw it because I have tagged him into the Twitter posts. I think the only thing is though, now that my Twitter's on private, I don't think he'd see it. Imagine if it was though. I'm not sure, but I mean, I don't know. I'd assume it wouldn't be, but you never know. Or maybe you just like saw it on YouTube or whatever and then found my Twitter or my Threads or whatever and found the NGL link. But yeah, you know, whoever it is, thank you very much. And yeah, it's a series I really love covering. Really can't wait to get to the new stuff as well. As I say, the problem is it's trying not to get spoiled by some of that new stuff, like with the Walton Files 4. There's a few bits which I've like seen, and so when I probably see them in the episode, it's more the things that I haven't seen out of context in a way. So like, you know, I've seen like some bits with Bon, and I think some bits with Susan Woodings and stuff like that, but I haven't actually seen things in context of the episode, and so yeah, it'll be very exciting to see that. Also, I really want them to bring out the plushes because I really want to get a Billy plush. So that means I can have it while I'm watching the episode. So please, Martin, if you're watching, please bring them out. I really want to get one. Yeah, so yeah, love covering the Walton Files. Glad you enjoy it as well. Hopefully I will be doing more stuff like that. I'm thinking like possibly some other analog horror things. I don't know whether I'll get up to like Battington and stuff like that, because that is the stuff that really does scare me. It's like things running at the camera, which I just hate, and things like that. But there's stuff like The Man in the Suit, which is like a Godzilla analog horror. There's Local 58, which I think is a pretty good one. There's God, what are the other ones? There's also like games as well. So there's like, one day I'd love to play Shipwreck 64, but that one's really intense, so that's definitely going to be a while in the future. But there's like Amanda the Adventurer, that's like an analog horror one, and even like other kind of horror adjacent games. There's like a game series called Frambo, which is it's kind of got some like horror elements to it, but it's not like too jump scary. And then there's kind of not really a sequel, it's kind of like an adjacent sequel called A Little Misfortune, which is really good and really funny as well. There's like there's a game called Kindergarten as well. Again, not really horror, but it's got some kind of like shocking gore stuff in it and stuff, and so that's quite a fun game. So yes, some games like that would be quite fun to play on the channel, and also again just like reacting to more kind of like analog horror stuff, some more kind of like mystery stuff as well would be really cool. There's things like the Amazing Digital Circus, which I've seen the first 2 episodes of. Maybe that's something I could do as well, because that seems it's got some kind of more kind of psychological horror elements to that, which seem pretty cool. So yeah, maybe that's a possibility at some point. But yeah, I'd love to cover more stuff like that. And then the next one, if I can just find it, was a very simple question, one word: single. Which, yes, I am. Thanks for reminding me. I mean, I thought I could maybe go into this a little bit more with... I'm not necessarily going to go into, like, all the stuff of, like, oh, you know, all the times I've tried to get into relationships. I've tried 7 times. It failed. I can more go into more the reason why I'm not really trying now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to be in a relationship. I really would. And it's funny, whenever, like, I sometimes say to people about wanting to be in a relationship, sometimes I get responses of, like, you know, a relationship isn't all it's cracked up to be, and I don't really see why people want to be in a relationship that much. It's like, but these are usually people who are already in relationships, so I think sometimes some people in relationships sometimes take it for granted. Like, I remember once in college I had a friend who was like, he was in a relationship with someone in our social circle, and he was like, oh, you're so lucky to be single, and he would say this right in front of his girlfriend, so... Yeah, like, no wonder they broke up because, you know, clearly that wasn't working out. But it's like, I get that. I get that relationships can be difficult and hard, but that doesn't mean I don't want it. Like, you know, a lot of people who think relationships are hard, they're still in a relationship, so something must be keeping them there. So, yeah, you know, it is something I want, but I think the problem is that I don't think I am ready to be in a relationship. I think I am not mentally ready enough. Like, I don't believe that... You know, obviously being depressed and anxious most of the time isn't one of the most attractive character traits, you know? And so, yeah, I feel like I need to kind of fix myself before I can kind of bring someone else into my life, I feel like. Like, you know, obviously if there is someone who could... I mean, I don't know. I mean, I got this post and... Sorry, I got this kind of response and, you know, I don't know whether that person's asking because they are interested... or whether they're just curious and being nosy, I don't know. But, yeah, you know, if someone was, you know, knew I had depression, knew I had anxiety, knew what that comes with, knew how that would affect me, and they can still deal with that and they still want to be with me, sure, we could try that. But I think that's very unlikely. I also think there's just a lot of stuff with, like, body image and stuff like that I just have issues with. I hate the way I look. It's why I'm on the weight loss. And, yeah, so... I think that would affect me quite a bit. There's also other stuff which I won't specifically go into because it's a little bit kind of TMI in a way, which, yeah, I feel would very much affect me in a relationship quite a bit. So, yeah, it's like, yeah, I just think I'm just not at a point when I'm ready. It's like, I'm at a point where I want it, but I'm at a point where I know I shouldn't. Like, you know, it's not what I should, you know, it's not what I want to do, it's what I should do. And I don't think I should be in a relationship at this point. I think I'm just very unstable at the moment. So I think that's the reason why I'm single. I would like not to be single, but I don't think that's going to happen for a long time. And yeah, and I think it is also just about, like, you know, meeting the right person. And, you know, there's been a lot of people where I've been like, they're physically attractive, which is good. And maybe some people where it's like, I've, you know, really gotten on with them. But I just don't think it's ever got to that level past friendship, unfortunately. And, yeah. And again, I'm not going to lie, I'm not the most conventionally attractive person, so I don't really get that kind of advantage of, you know, people just being into me because I'm attractive. Like, so, yeah, I kind of have to have a bit of a personality alongside that as well. So, yeah, it's difficult, it's tough, and it is one of the main kind of things that kind of triggers the depression because, yeah, you know, it sucks. It sucks to be single a lot of the time when, you know, you go around and you're usually like the third wheel, or I remember once I was like the fifth wheel in a friendship group that I was with where it was like, you know, 2 couples, so it was like I was kind of the fifth wheel in that. And, you know, when a lot of people around you are in relationships and you're not, yeah, it kind of does suck a little bit. So, yeah, so, yeah, that's, yeah, it's not fun, but, you know, I think it's just that the one kind of, I don't know, like, not really kind of like soothing factor in a way, but kind of the one thing that makes me feel a little bit better is that I know, I think one kind of good analogy for it is like, the Heath Ledger Joker, he says in the, I think it's the Dark Knight, isn't it, that, I'm like a dog chasing cars, I don't know what I'd do if I actually caught one. And I think it's the same with me in a relationship. Not that I'm a killer clown, although I have been dressed up as one in the past. No, it's that I don't know what I would do in a relationship if I got one. I want one so badly, and yet I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what to do on a date, or, you know, how to... you know, I know what I think I do, but I don't know, you know, it's not like I know exactly what I'm doing. And so, yeah, you know, it's like, it's so bad that I kind of want this thing, and yet I don't know what I'd do when I get it. Even if I wasn't depressed, I think I'd be like that. Like, so yeah, I think there's just a lot I need to work through, and just, yeah, just try and, yeah, really work through it, and just try and hopefully get to a point where one day I can get into a relationship. I think one thing I do worry about, because a lot of people say, I'm only 24, like, I've got loads of life ahead of me, and it's like, for one thing, you know, with like, you know, some of the thoughts that I have nowadays, I never know how long I've got left, to be honest, but I won't go too deep into that, but I think it's also just the fact of, yeah, even if I do like get into a relationship into my 30s or my 40s, it would have been so much of my life wasted without that person. You know, like, by that point I'll probably be in a job, and I probably won't have as much time to spend with them, because I'll have to live life. Meanwhile, if I maybe met someone in like college or university, we could have actually spent a little bit more of that free time together, you know? And that's something which I feel like I've kind of lost now, and I've kind of, you know, I'm never really going to get to experience, unfortunately, because, yeah, you know, and I think a lot of people would say that's stupid for me to think that, but I don't know, it's just, I feel like there's a lot of, by the time I get to that point, as I say, maybe in my 30s, 40s, if that, I think a lot of my life will have been wasted, you know, because I've been trying to deal with and get over the depression, the anxiety, the mental illness. I'll be spending so much time trying to get over that I will have wasted most of my life, you know, and, yeah, so I feel that especially with relationships and stuff, so, yeah, on that negative ending, yeah, I might just get up to 40%, and then, yeah, I'll probably do like the next 60 on the next video, but, yeah, what time are we on now? We're on, let's have a look, yeah, 1 hour and 50, so probably going to be like just under 2 hours this, so, that'll do, donkey, that'll do.
That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
When are we going to get up to 40? Come on. Always want to do it on like a round number. I don't want it to be like 83% again or something like that, you know. Get it onto a round number. There we go. The other things I was going to talk about was like back on LEGO Dimensions again. I think I'm up to the Joker and Harley Quinn pack, which again, I think one of the main issues I have with LEGO Dimensions is it gets to a point where if you're opening the packs all in order, you get to a point where the characters and vehicles just become redundant because you already have those abilities on other things. And so you're doing like the rebuilds for the vehicles for no, you know, no legitimate reason. You're just doing it just for like the completion of it rather than actually because you need them. So yeah, that's happening with a lot of the packs. I think the next one, the Doc Brown one, which I'll be opening, that'll be a new pack, 'cause that's the drone ability, which is like the drone access one, which is pretty cool. The other thing is that I've been watching through Ninjago still as well, kind of intermittently in the way I'm onto Ninjago Decoded at the moment, which is weird. It seems like in the next series they're going to change the designs of the characters to like the Lego Ninjago movie ones, which I'm wondering how that fits into the lore, but because I always thought of the Lego Ninjago movie as in like the Lego movie universe rather than in the Ninjago universe. But yeah, with Ninjago Decoded, it's essentially like a recap series, but they actually add a storyline with it, which is quite cool. So yes, so that's interesting to watch through. But yeah, that's pretty much all else I've been doing, apart from like, you know, watching Doctor Who and stuff, and editing and recording videos. This week for my CBT, the task is going to be to try and get some walking back in again. Now I've got some of the sleep stuff not firmly in again, but I've still got it in enough, I think. So yeah, I'll be going for a walk this afternoon, hopefully, and yeah, hopefully getting that in a bit more. As I say, now that my work coach appointment isn't on, I would have been walking to that originally, but this time now I can walk on that day, but instead of like walking to and from town, I can walk a little bit less of a distance. Did you hear that rumbling noise? I did actually kind of hear a motorbike go past, so maybe that's what they mean. No, I think that rumbling noise might mean the volcano, maybe. Can we see the volcano? Hold on, where is it? Where is my volcano? Where is it? Is it not round here? I would have thought it was round here. Where is the volcano? Where is it? Can't see it anywhere. Can we see a gnome? Are there any gnomes? Any creepy ass gnomes? Not gnomes with a creepy ass, just, you know, just creepy gnomes. Oh, there we go. Is that it? There we go, found the gnome. Is it just me or does it look a little bit smaller, that gnome? I'm not sure. It's the same, you can't like zoom in on these bits, but yeah, that's the gnome, I think. I think it might just be peeking over, that's why it looks a bit smaller. I'm wondering, can we actually find the bungalow here as well? Because sometimes they have like some of the other jobs you do, like kind of in the environment. I can't see it though. Right, anyway, we nearly... Oh, there we go, we're at 40%, so we'll just get this bit cleaned off and then yeah, I'll call this an episode because this is long enough as it is. And I managed to get through everything I wanted to talk about. Yeah, and also I didn't do a NGL link or like a questions and comments thing for this episode. For one thing, I forgot to do it yesterday, but also because I already had the NGL stuff from the NGL ones that I just read out. So, and also I just had enough to talk about for this episode. Yeah, I just had more than enough to talk about because it's been a month since I last did one of these. So yeah, so this is kind of the state of the detached house at the moment. As you can see, a lot still to go, a lot of the walls and stuff. I just had Phoebe meowing outside my room, so I'll have to let her in a minute. But yeah, so overall, that's Power Simulator for today. The next video, I believe, should be Minecraft again, hopefully, unless I'm going out somewhere else. I don't believe I am, because Towers is going to be in a bit of a while. But yes, it should be Minecraft next. Doing more of the, hopefully laying some more of the foundations for the orchard, filling in the, there's like kind of an underwater tunnel as well, so we'll be doing that. So until Minecraft Take 2, I will see you next time. Bye.